Gia and Tonya are my morning coffee.
Good Monday morning, everybody. Monday morning and the end of Black History Month. This is our final show for Black History Month, and we have an amazing guest today. In so many ways, Dr. Goodie Goodloe. He's a character, but he's incredibly entrenched in all things Black, and I can't wait to get into this conversation with him. And we always have our guest host for the end of the month, Ms. Tandra Price, the networking ninja. We'll be able to get into some business stuff, and maybe we'll be able to throw in a little Black economics. What do you say, Dr. Goodie?
Yes, that works for me. Good morning.
Absolutely. So let's get it going. I'm going to actually start with Miss Gia. God, I love her shirt. I love everything she has going on right now. What do you have in your cup, and what you been up to, and what cup you got today?
Good morning. I have my Sisters Empowering Each Other cup this morning because, you know me, I'm all about empowering us. So every chance I get to empower, I try to empower. So I'm repping, the sisterhood cup today. And also I have a new shirt on, and it's really today do not disturb, and it says my peace, my vibe, my joy, my grind, because it's a whole vibe. So I'm trying to channel all that in today as we close out Black History Month. So so I'm wearing it today, do not disturb, but also I got a few appointments I got to go to today. I got to go to a couple of doctor's appointments, and so I got to let the front of the house know, the staff, when I come in there, this shirt, don't disturb all this. I got to get some stuff done today. I got to talk to my doctor. We got to talk about what's going to happen with this whole neck shoulder thing. I need him to do my paperwork so I can go on and, submit my retirement paper. So I'm trying to channel this whole little mood today, so everything will be right. So that's what's happening. I haven't been up to much since last week. I really been kind of laying low. I've been kind of like in a little funk, I think, a little bit. But also, though, I got my first vaccination shot last week. Yes. So I'm a little excited and jazzed about that. So my household is kind of getting it together. Jeff had his second shot, and my mom had her second shot. So they're all squared away. So now it's me. So, I had to play my little first responder card to get me the shot, right? So, I played it, and I was able to get my first shot. So I get my second one next month. So I'm kind of excited about that. And just for people that's listening, my shoulder did hurt after I got the first shot, but it reminded me of like when you get what's that shot you get like every 10 years, the technic shot. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that. So my arm did hurt a little bit. And then I've been having this little crazy, like little cough. And they say that's kind of, sometimes you might feel like you got a little cold. But other than that, I've been fine. haven't had any side effects that I know of. And my mother is doing good. She hasn't had any side effects, and Jeff hasn't had any either. So I'm saying thumbs up to the vaccination. So for all you people who are kind of leery about getting it, you guys should really, do your research, but you should go out there because, and get it. And I know some people say, I've never had the flu vaccination either and all that kind of stuff. We'll get all them shots because we need them. So I used to be one of those people saying, I've never got the flu shot, but I started getting it, I want to say probably almost like 10 years ago. And then because I have asthma, I also get the pneumonia vaccination. So, this called me Miss Vacky. So that's it, Tonya. I don't really have nothing else, girl. My life, it's been kind of like this, flatline, kind of plain, nothing going on, nothing exciting.
That ain't what it looked like on social media, but I digress. Dr. Goodloe.
Wait, look, let's not talk about what social media stuff be looking like. So stop, if you look at social media, you might think I'm popular. You probably think I'm an extrovert and all that. And I'm the total opposite. So my social media is really for the mahogany box to promote the things that I create. So that's why I'm on there for to give it to my people so they can see all my fabulousness. That was a good introduction for you, Mr. Goodloe. See, I know Tonya probably told you a little bit about me, but she ain't told you everything. So I just want to
My goodness, this is going to be like bringing sand to the beach. And I got nothing. I mean,
I got nothing. So what cup do you have? What's in it, Dr. Goodloe, and what you been up to?
I got the all welcoming generic white cup. No pun intended. And what's in it shall remain a secret between me, myself, and I. It keeps me warm and fuzzy. Just like most of you, just mindful of us being in uncharted waters. We've never been this way before, to use a biblical motif, and this is definitely a time of great challenge and adversity. And, we just reached an unfortunate historic mark. We're coming up on 500,000 people who have lost their lives to COVID, some nearly 29 million people who have been infected with this virus. Like our guest host, my family has been fortunate. We've gotten our first shot. My wife is vaccinated completely. And we're just trying to be mindful, we believe in modern science. We believe COVID is real. It's not a fake. It's not a hoax. It is taking people out of here, particularly even our people, African-American people specifically. And so we want to do our part. We want to be good neighbors. We wear masks. We keep social distance. Ain't no clubbing, no parties here. Nobody's been in our house other than, I think maybe we had a maintenance guy and we kept our distance from him. But we miss people. We miss being around. We're very socially connected to a lot of people. We're used to hosting people here at our home, but we realize that these are challenging times, dangerous times. But I often tell people, as I have interacted with different organizations and leaders via this medium, I tell people this is not our forever.
Right.
This is not our forever.
That's
so
right.
Yeah, if we do what we are required, what is required of us by God's grace, there will be another birthday. There will be another Christmas. So let's do our part to quash this pandemic, to get people healthy, so we can live again. There will be no new normal for those 500,000 families who have lost loved ones. No new normal for almost 29 million people. So, comparatively speaking, man, I'm mindful of the fragility of life. Mm-hmm. And things that used to bother me, they tend not to bother me as much in the last year. And my posture has been, it's all good.
Yeah, I think that's been happening for a lot of people. But before we get into your business, Dr. Goodloe, because I know I done heard all about you, so I know you got some business. We're gonna get all up in yours. We're gonna get all up in yours. Oh. And we're gonna fix your little mug situation too, because we're gonna have some new My Morning Coffee mugs coming out. So we're gonna fix that to you later on. We'll get back to that. But we're gonna go into Miss Beautiful Tandra, see what she's been up to. I love having her when she comes on at the end of the month. She's so refreshing, and she has so many nuggets that she drops on all of us. And I learn from her as always, but I learn from both Tonya and her. But let's see what's been up in her cup since we last chatted.
Up, everybody, what's up? Listen, what I got in my cup is, I got my new cup, and it says, the blessings are in the show up.
Uh-oh.
Did you see that? Let me get
I see it.
The blessings are in the show up. So, listen, I am glad to be having that, and I do got merch. So, I'm glad to have that.
You got to get that merch.
Listen, I'm going to tell you where the link to go get it. But I am so excited. At the end of the last Monday, everybody listen, the Monday the last Monday of the month, we come together, and I love getting my morning coffee. I was like, let's say, hey, is we doing money? Is we talking this week? So she was like, yeah. So listen, I was glad I got my invite because I love it. I love it. I love it. So let me tell you what I've been up to. I am so excited. One, I got the completion of my magazine, which is Tapped In. I got all my ladies. So listen, on the lookout for that. It's going to be a phenomenal magazine that's coming out, and we are going to spotlight a lot of amazing ladies that are doing some amazing things in their community that's impacting other people's lives. So I'm so excited about that. I got my workshop, my LinkedIn workshop coming up, which is on Saturday, this Saturday coming up. So if you have not maximized your LinkedIn, you need to come see me. You need to come get linked. That's what it's called, get linked. Maximizing your LinkedIn. What else, guys? I got a whole lot going on. I'm finishing up my series for Black History Month. So tomorrow is my last Tuesday of the month, which is our last show of that. So it's going to be pretty amazing. And listen, I'm just loving life. I'm just doing what to do, right? I'm trying to get out there, make connections, bless other people along the way, and just put a new whole spin on what networking really is and how we can actually come together, unite, empower, and move others to the next level. So, hey, I'm so excited to be here at the morning. Oh, wait a minute. I just got some vanilla, some French vanilla in my cup. So I just wanted to say that too.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. I didn't tell you what I had in my cup. I got some breakfast blend coffee in mine because I'm a lightweight. I don't have that strong stuff. I know Tonya probably think I do, but I'm a lightweight. I'm only strong in certain situations, but when it comes to coffee,
When it comes to cussing folks out.
yeah. Hey. Sometimes people need that. Sometimes they need to come to Jesus.
But they need a little encouragement,
come to Jesus' cousin. Come to Jesus' cousin time. Sometimes what they need. So it's all right.
Look, I call it a little encouragement.
See,
Oh my God.
So Tonya, what have you been up to? Let's talk about what you've been up to, because you always up to something.
Well, I got my sisters empowering each other, so I guess great minds.
I left out because I don't have one of those cups, so I got to get it in the mahogany box. I'll be ordering mine.
Gotta get it. And
all right.
Because I have coffee, because I needed to make sure I was here today, because I've been struggling over the last 2 weeks. I thought I was sick, just regular sick. And then I thought, okay, it might be COVID. And then I took the test and they were like, nope. So then I was really worried because I didn't know what it was. And I damn near passed out on Saturday, went to the hospital, and I have pneumonia. Yes. So I have pneumonia, but I didn't know that there was a pneumonia shot. Like what?
Yes.
This is the third time I've gotten it. Old age is
serious.
Old age sucks. Like, what is this? What? I need to get that then, yeah?
Yeah, so from now on, you probably need to get every year, you should be asking for the pneumonia vaccination, okay?
I don't even think that was ever offered to me. They always pushing this flu shot, and I ain't never got the flu. But they ain't never get a pneumonia shot, and I can't get it.
Well, I don't think it was as offered like the flu shot, but I think the reason why my doctor gave it to me is because I have asthma. So, and if I get really sick, it prevents me from getting sick. If I get pneumonia, then it's gonna now affect my lungs and everything. So that's why I get it. So you might not need it, but always ask, because nowadays in the medical profession, you got to go in there and tell them what you want, because it's not like back in the day when you went to the doctor as a kid and they really examined you and told you what was going on with you. Now you come in there and they looking at you and you looking at them, and you looking for answers and they're not giving you answers. So sometimes you have to ask about certain things, and your doctor will say whether you can need it or not, yes or no. But we have to be more proactive in our I'm not gonna say our old age. As we get more seasoned, we have to be more proactive about our health care and ask more questions.
That's true. That's so true.
Yep. So I have been attempting to work, but some of my sentences ain't making sense. So I should be doing better soon and actually catching up on the stuff I'm behind in. Other than that, the kids are going back to school. So
okay. So when is that? When do they go back to school?
You said okay, like you ready for my kids to go back to school.
Yeah, because you know what? Hey, I am. No, yeah. I
Wait,
am.
what?
And the reason why? Because since your kids been at home, you've been a little different. So I am ready. And you know, we talk, Tonya. You know, you and I, you know, I'm your big sister. We talk. So I know that's, you know, it's been a thing in the McKenzie household. So I'm glad, but also I'm glad for the kids because I know the kids are kind of probably tired of being around their mama too. Because I know the kids. I know your kids. See, so I think it's good for the whole McKenzie family that they are going back to school. So everybody can, you know, have a little bit of normalcy in, you know, in that household and stuff. So that's all, honey. That's all, you know. I'm all about the McKenzies. And I know it's been a long road. And I know you didn't go to school to become a teacher. And I know you've had to be a teacher over the last year. And so I know it's, you know, hey, because if I was in your shoes, girl, I probably would be in AA too, you know, along with everything else I'd be doing because I probably couldn't handle it. So, but you've done really well, I must say. But I'm glad that your school is opening back up. Is that Redondo Beach Unified School District?
It is.
Okay, so they're gonna let all the kids go back, or they're gonna do like partial?
It's hybrid, so 3 days a week.
Okay.
3 days
but
a week.
3 days is better than no days, girl, honey.
Amen. I ain't slept in I don't know, a good almost year now. So this will be good for everyone. Lastly, what I've been up to. It is election season here in Redondo Beach. And I think people lose their goddamn mind during election season. So now that the national election season is over and most people have gone on with their lives, those that acknowledge it actually happened, now we have crazy nonsense going on here in Redondo. So I had this little situation this past week. It was interesting. We have one Black person that's running for school board here in Redondo Beach. Okay. They've never had a Black person on the board. We are in a moment in time where things need to change. Everybody knows that. They started, and she's an AKA. She's an amazing chick. We don't always agree on everything. And the others here in the city decided to make it a big deal that she supports Black Lives Matter and started sending me information about her and asking me, is it true? And I was like, this has been irritating my soul. Ask her. She's the candidate. Or is she, because she's Black, you think she's going to bite you? Like, what are we doing right now? Why are you asking me about somebody else that's running? Because we look alike. But that's the kind of stuff that, those microaggressions that I recognize are things that really stress us, that extra thing. So when we say privilege, these people are privileged. They're privileged to never having to know that feeling of having microaggressions to deal with on a daily basis while you're still going through your regular daily life. So I got regular work, I got kids, husband, household, community work, and then I have people that don't have any kind of goddamn sense talking to me about another Black person like I'm not hella Black. So I was like, over it. So that's what we've been kind of dealing with here. I don't know if Goodie wants to expound on anything he's experienced during election season, but I want to tap into him, get into his book, and also, Goodie, how you're from Compton and how you wound up in Redondo Beach, and what's that been like?
Yeah, and I'll also talk about being the scholar. You know, Tonya posted your our little I don't know what these things are called, our video reel of you, and and I was like, oh, scholar. I'm like, shoot, you know, I got up a little earlier today just so I could sit up straight. You know, because
me and you both.
So we want to hear all about you and all about all the great things that you're doing.
Well, no, again, it's an honor to be with you today and to join my friend. I don't call it time, I call him McKenzie, to be with McKenzie and the crew here and my morning coffee. You know, I'm originally from South Central Los Angeles. So I don't have to wear the T-shirt or put on the hashtag because I am straight out of Compton. born and raised, product of the public school systems there in Compton. Both my mom and my godmother and my sister, in fact, the former two are retired, but all involved in the education system there, worked for some odd 30 years or so within Compton Unified School District, came out of there and some years ago and was a student athlete and active in student government, got a full scholarship, left there, went to University of New Mexico, played football, and then went on to school continuously forever, it seemed, and kind of lived in different places over the country, around the country, including Texas and Kansas, San Francisco areas. But I've devoted the last 30 years of my life really trying to advance causes of justice and equality. Even when I was a young person growing up in South Central LA, I was keenly aware of the constant disadvantages that people of color were put in as a result of their economic status, their background, where they were from, et cetera, et cetera. And so I have always found myself trying to advocate for the voiceless. There's a great book by Howard Thurman. He was a theologian. He's no longer with us, but he wrote a book called Jesus and the Disinherited. But in the book, he talks about what it's like, and I use a historic term because he wrote this in the late 40s, but he talked about there's only one group of people in our country who knows what it means to, quote, live with their backs constantly against the wall. He talked about Negroes knowing what it means to live with their backs against the wall, constantly head on a swivel, pressured, whether that's economically, issues related to the social justice system, healthcare, housing, just constantly. And so for me, growing up in a housing project, Ujima Village, South Central Los Angeles, just that constant recognition that there was a disadvantage, that there was that all things were not equal when it came to matters of justice, equality, and fairness. And so dedicated my life to trying to confront those issues, spent some time studying the life of Dr. King the last few decades. And I was very fortunate to attend school in Dallas, and where I got my postgraduate work. I actually focused on the life of Dr. King and his work with athletes and entertainers. That's kind of where my scholarship is, but I'm a King scholar. I write. I'm an adjunct professor for the university in Dallas called Dallas Baptist University. But I spend my time, I'm full-time itinerant speaker, writer, and I spend my time talking to organizations, businesses, groups, universities, talking about issues like justice, equality, leadership, characters, and synergy, but a lot about Dr. King, his vision, his life, his passion, even how those things are relevant here today, which is intentional plug intended. That's the conversation of Kingmaker, where we're talking about how people like King, you may not be elected, you may not have a great platform, but you can use your influence, in the words of Spider-Man's uncle, with great powers comes great responsibilities. That's what Uncle Ben told Spidey, young Peter. And so we often say, with great powers comes great responsibility. What are you doing with the resources you have, with the great influence you have? Are you making a difference in the lives of others? And so that's really the conversation of Kingmaker. And in particular, two groups of people we talk about in the book were athletes and entertainers. How 60 years ago, they were sort of this unique group of people that King shepherded to come alongside other activists to help advance the civil rights movement. And what I argue in my work is that without those people of influence, those entertainers and athletes, our world would look different. The civil rights movement would look different. And dare I say, even today, we've seen athletes and entertainers take center stage on matters of justice and equality. And I dare to say our world would look different in the last 12 months had it not been for a lot of athletes and entertainers stepping up to the plate, doing extraordinary things on matters of justice, equality, voting, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
So do you think these people that say things like shut up and dribble or sports and entertainment has no place in politics? How do you feel about that? Is that just their opinion and we should be fine with that? Or is it our responsibility to push back and educate these individuals on how athletes and entertainers have shaped some of the progress that we've been a part of?
Yeah, the comments that Laura Ingraham made, the Fox commentator, I wouldn't even call her newsworthy, but the Fox commentator made some years ago in reference to LeBron and James was very a very glaring comment for a whole host of reasons. But one of the reasons it was glaring is because it was ignorant. There's a term called Sankofa. It's an African proverb which speaks, it's basically a bird who has his head looking back with its feet planted forward. And the whole idea is, it means to reach back, but at the same time move forward. In other words, our past is something that just doesn't happen to us. It's something that can inform us, help us understand. And when Laura Ingraham made those comments, I thought to myself, wow, she's really ignorant of our history, of who we are as a people and even as a nation. Athletes and entertainers have always played a role in civil discourse. They know, listen, you would never ask a plumber to shut up and just continue the plumbing, or an attorney to shut up and just file papers and legal briefs. You would never tell an accountant, you wouldn't tell a person who was a dentist that they couldn't come and confront issues related to justice, inequality, whether that's having to do with housing or common sense gun laws. You wouldn't say, hey, shut up and just work on people's mouths. You're just a dentist. You wouldn't say that.
Right.
Athletes and entertainers are citizens first. Their occupation happens to be that they're entertainers and athletes. And I think Dr. King 60 years ago realized that, and that he recognized, in the same way of blue collar workers and educators and people within the service industry, that there were these groups of people who had a megaphone, a platform. And King would say, listen, we're all equal in essence, but we're not all equal in influence. When LeBron James launched his voter initiative, More Than a Vote, it was literally a seismic shift in sort of the political landscape. Historians, political scientists, that's my original background, will write about the work of LeBron James, partnering up with groups like Stacey Abrams. Literally, they will write about how when LeBron James and Chris Paul called Barack Hussein Obama the president in the middle of the night, preparing to walk out of the NBA playoffs, Obama said, hold up, wait, got an idea. When that recent shooting happened with George Floyd and then Ahmaud Arbery, the NBA players were like, we're out of here. But President Obama said, hey, let's look at this. It was out of that conversation came all of the hashtags, all of the initiatives you saw promoted within the NBA last year in the playoffs, all the arenas that were used as voting registration booths and places for people going to vote. That came out of the negotiation with owners from that nonviolent peaceful confrontation that they had on this issue of injustice with regard to some policing agencies. So that was literally athletes and entertainers coming together to using their platforms. You know, when John Legend won the Academy Award with Common for the movie Selma, only one award was given, by the way, for that movie, and it was the soundtrack, the movie, the song.
That's true.
When he won that award, he dedicated that award to this issue of massive incarceration. And then went on a tour. First place he stopped was Texas. Why Texas? Because more people are in Texas, in prison rather, in the state of Texas than any other state in our union. And so he raised that issue. Bono, the acclaimed lead singer of U2, partnered up with Jesse Helms and then President George W. Bush, because he was interested in this issue called debt relief and AIDS relief. George Bush, despite what you may think of him, from that partnership, is responsible for saving more Africans on the continent of Africa than any other person in the world because of the program called PEPFAR. And so Bono said, hey, listen, we could do something about providing medicine and supplies for people who are ravaged with AIDS. And we increased our funding. And that PEPFAR program, by the way, is still alive today. And it's responsible. I can go on and on about different examples from Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier, James Garner, Elgin Bader, Nina Simone, Charlton Heston, Aretha Franklin, Mahalia Jackson. These were the John Legends of their day. Fast forward, Alicia Keys, her work with AIDS and also bullying. Toby Keith, dealing with housing issues. LeBron James, voter registration. Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bean Bryant, in housing, was on his way to the Staples Center one night, looked and saw a family who was literally on the streets. began to ask questions from that, became a partnership with the United Way local chapter. Boom, participated in a local fundraising walk. I attended that, and their funding increased tremendously. And he literally helped put the issue of homelessness on the map. Prince, before he died, coding, who knew? Coding, we code. That was Prince.
Yep.
And so athletes and entertainers have always had, in fact, I'll close with this, Harry Belafonte, who's with us today still, who was a contemporary and co-laborer with Dr. King, who was really the link between King and all of the entertainers, at least, said these words, that artists are the gatekeepers of truth. Your poets, your writers, your singers, your dancers, your Nina Simone's, your Jackie Robinson's, your Eartha Kitt's. Belafonte would say they are the gatekeepers of truth. They speak to culture, and they also speak about culture. They challenge culture, from Bob Dylan to the Smothers Brothers, who were as vocal in issues of justice than any other group of people. Sam Cooke, I could go on and on, but these artists and entertainers had a role to play and have a role to play in advancing us forward. They have been given much. They can use their platform for good.
What is a King Scholar?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look, Dr. Goodloe, you got us all like, we all like, oh, okay. How do we come in next? Because you done dropped so many nuggets on out here. I'm just like, oh, I had a thought, but I'm like, I'm trying to pay so much attention to what you're saying, because you just picking all this, you dropping so much nuggets out here today.
Oh, you're too kind. Like, thank you. So real quick. So I went to school for a really long time. I have what we call a PhD. It's a postgraduate degree. And less than 2% of the people in this country have it. So with that, I am what we call a researcher. So I spent 5.5, 6 years of my life going to class, flying to different libraries, different research institutions, including going to Dr. King's SCLC offices in Atlanta, also the King Library there and the King Center, researching and investigating his life. And I did what we call, lack of a better word, a historical analysis of Dr. King, and more specifically of his leadership with athletes and entertainers during the civil rights movement. And from that work, I was given what we call a degree, and my work involved writing about him, but also unveiling never known before truths, if you will, about his life in that particular area. So a scholar does that. A scholar doesn't just tell you what you already know. They unveil things. They advance the academic community forward. So what I was able to do was, certainly there have been other writers to talk about King and his work with some, but it was always, when I read Dr. King, even growing up, I would see mentions of Belafonte. I would see Mahalia Jackson's name flash across a piece of paper. I would see, oh, Charlton Heston. What was Charlton Heston, Dr. King doing? But no one had ever focused in on what that was about in its totality in regards to leadership. So what I did was I realized that this wasn't happenstance in my research. Like, he was intentional. So when Dr. King was successful at the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955, he got on a plane and flew to New York for a fundraiser. And Coretta Scott King played at this fundraiser. The jazz artist, she was an accomplished jazz pianist. And there was a fundraiser at Madison Square Garden. But part of that, traveling to New York, Dr. King requested a meeting with a guy named Harry Belafonte. Belafonte and he met at the Abyssinia Baptist Church in New York in 1956. King is all of 28 years old, looks across from him and say, "Thank you so much for meeting with me." Belafonte had heard of King, but he was already an activist himself, and he was reluctant initially. Why? Because he said, I had known preachers to be about three things: hooping, hollering, Cadillac driving, chasing women. But he said in his words, there was something about this young man from Galilee that I had to see about myself. And Dr. King sit across from him and says, Mr. Belafonte, I know you to be not just an actor or singer, but I know you to be an activist. I have no idea where this movement is headed. I think we need to do more work. We got this successful Montgomery bus boycott thing passed. But I think I know this for sure. I need your help. That began a 11 and a 12-year relationship where Belafonte and King were literally just sort of had this symbiotic relationship where Belafonte was the link between King and all of these entertainers. Why is this so important? Well, when you go to jail, you got to have bail money. When you travel from Atlanta to go to speak in Chicago, go to speak in Atlanta, go speak in Los Angeles, what hotels you going to stay in? What cars you going to have? Who's going to pick you up? What food are you going to eat? You got staff now, right? You need people to schedule your scheduling and arrange for you to speak different. That costs money. You're writing letters, keeping people informed. You now have an organization called the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. That takes resources. You can't just be in Atlanta. You got to be able to expand. Well, that expansion needed resources. The number one role that these athletes and entertainers play, they gave a lot of money. And a lot of times it was cash money. So what they would do, a Belafonte or Aretha Franklin, Eartha Kitt, Nina Simone, they would do a fundraiser. Hey, come here, Charlton Heston. Hey, come here, Marlon Brando in a Shakespeare concert. They literally would take money, those ticket prices, and they would give that money back to the King. Belafonte would raise money just by doing benefit concerts. He literally was responsible for even underwriting Dr. King's life insurance policy. When Dr. King was laid in the ground, that policy that was taken out on his life was paid for by Belafonte years earlier. Oh, wow. So we're talking about marshaling resources. And so one of the chapters in my book, Kingmaker, talks about the power of money. And oftentimes we don't like to talk about money. It's awkward, right? But no, we need money in order to expand the movement. You need money to register people to vote. Mm-hmm. You need money to talk about issues related to COVID and providing adequate vaccinations for people. That's why in this $1.9 trillion package that the current president has in front of people, they're like, oh, it's too big. Well, I don't know. I think 500,000 people dying is too big. And so we need money. So the power of money is a tool to advance your cause forward. And so Dr. King would sit across from these entertainers and say, hey, I need your help. When Jackie Robinson was being inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame, the first Negro, using that historic term, ever to go to the Hall of Fame, Dr. King said, hey, you know what I want to do, Jackie? I want to throw a banquet in your honor on behalf of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. We're going to invite everybody. We're going to invite people we know that won't even come, including President Kennedy. We're going to invite then Richard Nixon, who had been former vice president, who had run against Kennedy, Rockefeller. They put together a program, you know, like we used to have in a church program, and what happens in the program? It has the itinerary for the night, but it also has ads where people can take out what? Ads to say, congratulations. So Kennedy can't come. Maybe Nixon doesn't want to show up, but are you willing to be President Kennedy, who doesn't support the first Black person being inducted to the Hall of Fame? Of course not. You're going to take out an ad. Guess where that money went that was raised for that program? Into the coffers of the SCLC. And so they would use those monies. And so when it came time to get people out of jail, so 1963, you got Dr. King going to Birmingham jail. He's disturbed. He's concerned. He goes, if I go to jail, being the sole breadwinner, I'm doing my speeches, my book royalties, we need money. Belafonte goes, I got you. And he raises nearly $75,000 more cash money. And that freed up King to go to jail. Some young people went to jail, and that Birmingham campaign was huge. Last story, when Dr. King gave his speech, 1963, in the Lincoln Monument, in 1963, August 28th, Belafonte was specifically charged by Dr. King to do one thing: bring the plane that was carrying entertainers to Washington, D.C. And on the film, you'll see there's people like Harry Belafonte, Sammy Davis Jr., there's Sidney Poitier. They're all in attendance at the March on Washington. And you know what they did? They also visited members of Congress in the course of that week to encourage them to pass what was then the proposed civil rights legislation by President John Kennedy. So it wasn't just giving money. They were literally marshaling their leverage and their platform. If you've ever heard the term Camelot and Kennedy and that whole Jackie and John Kennedy mystique, when you look on the film of the inauguration of the balls they had with Kennedy, look at some of the entertainers who were present. They're the same entertainers who were working with Dr. King. You'll see Frank Sinatra, who supported Dr. King, gave money. You'll see James Dean, you'll see James Gardner, you'll see some of these, Sidney Poitier, you'll see some of these same people who were part of that Camelot romance with Kennedy. They too were partnered with Dr. King to advance the civil rights movement.
So Dr. Goodloe, I need to ask you a question. Do you have some type, or are you working on some type of institute for the people? Because you done gave a whole history lesson in a matter of, I want to say maybe 20-30 minutes and stuff. And you can go on and on and on and on about this, because there's so much to talk about. If you don't have an institute, if you haven't been thinking about an institute, we need to think about that, because I think our young people can learn a lot from you. You have a lot of information. And you have you've done the work, stuff, and you should be parting this stuff with our young people and some of our old people. If I had three creative, passionate women to pull it off, I probably could do it. Okay, I see you. I see where you're going. I see where you're going. We'll talk about this, because we got Tonya.
No, we won't.
If we got Tonya
doing the work. No,
wait a minute.
I know.
If we got Tonya, Dr. Goodloe, if we got Tonya, anything is possible with Tonya. So, so
not today.
It's Tonya. It's about legacy. It's about leaving our legacy. So, we're on it. We're on it.
Incredibly intelligent, and he's very manipulative with all of the information that he has. He's very suave with his words. He's very convincing. He can move mountains, just not this one.
Listen.
I was like, where are you going with this? Where are you going with this?
Say this. I love everything you said, because here's the thing. A part of what I do is I teach, I feel like networking is all things, right? And one of the things that I'm focusing on, that's a part of what I'm doing for Black History Month, is, you summed that thing up so good, and I got so many notes. Listen, I hope all y'all watch me, see my notebook. But I've been trying. Listen, I'm a note taker, because that's money makers, right? But listen, you made such some good points about Dr. King's message and how he moved. I'm sorry, I just got to take this back to business a little bit, y'all. But his message, how it was so clear and concise. But here's the thing that if all of us is listening, how he showed how networking, how they got together and they talked and they made that thing work. You know what? Because he showed us right now, just back then, how important it was to talk and to congregate and to collaborate together to make the things happen the way they happen and where things are today. So I just want to say that, because that's a huge thing that I'm like trying to show relevance to. Like, listen, we need to be out here helping and empower one another. Right. And listen, it happened way before us. You know what I'm saying? They showed us how to do it. They show us how to put it together. Dr. Goodie just put all that down and then some on the paper.
That's exactly what, Dr. King called it a coalition of conscience. And what he believed is that it could not just be up to, and I'm going to use a historic term, it could not just be up to the Negro to advance their cause forward. We were disproportionately outnumbered. We didn't have money. We didn't have the banks. We didn't have the alliances, the power. So Dr. King was always, He always had his head on a swivel looking to who could he partner with. Progressive whites, Jews, migrant farm workers, Hispanics. He was mindful of this coalition of what he called the willing. Dave Chappelle, of conscience, Dave Chappelle calls it the coalition of the willing. In other words, you know, who's down, right?
Right.
And so we cannot just limit ourselves to connecting with people who just look like us. We have to say who have our shared interests, our shared values, right? And so one of the things we talk about in the book is this. So basically the book has 10 different principles or 10 different powers. The power of money, I already talked about that. The power of request. In other words, if you can achieve something on your own, you're dreaming too small.
Yes, I love that.
Your dream. So Dr. King's thought was, I want to raise this issue beyond Montgomery now. I'm aware of injustices happening around the country. So Harry Belafonte, I need your help. So the power of request. So what dream are you in that you have that you want to try to advance? A business, right? Advancing forward in education and personal development, a cause, issue, what have you. It should keep you up at night because of the bigness of it, but it also should force the issue of who can I find to partner with to help advance it forward. The power of communication. That was something that was vital for Dr. King. King would write letters. Western Telegram was a primary method of communication for Dr. King. He would write and send, but he would communicate with entertainers and athletes. He would keep them informed, let them know, hey, here's where your money is going. Here's what we're doing. Here's where we're going to be. The power of communication. He would use visuals a lot. He would tell stories. And so I tell people, Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs said that the people who tell the best stories will control the future. And so what stories are we telling? The power of communication, right? So Dr. King says, I have a dream that one day we will live in a nation where, you know, so he talks about this story, right? The power of knowledge. So Dr. King was very learned. He was a learned man. So he would sit across the table from whoever he was talking to, and he would do his homework about that person's life, about that person's business or interest. And so when he sat across from these people asking them for help, he knew about their craft. He knew about their passions. He was involved in the intricate details of their lives in some points.
Oh my God.
You know,
that's juice. That is juice, y'all. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Juice. Wait a minute. Let me just reference it back real quick before I forget. Because look, Jen forgot. I don't want to forget.
I know. I'm just like,
we talk about, he gave you a audience, please listen. I hope y'all listen and I hope y'all taking notes. He gave you a clear indication. We talk about in business all the time. All the time we talk about, listen, either you can go with somebody, go fast, or you can go slow by yourself. Did you just see what he just did? Yeah. He gathered people with him. Dr. Martin Luther King gathered people with him, took them with him. Okay, he didn't leave nobody behind, but he took them with him. And now look where we are today. He didn't go by himself. Could you imagine if he went by himself, where we would be at today? But no, wait a minute, one more. I got one more. Woo!
You know, that's it. That's it.
So many of you may or may not know that Goodie is he's like my co-conspirator in all things equity and equality here in Redondo. And I appreciate him. I appreciate the knowledge that he drops and the insight that he brings. I too have found that I can leave him speechless sometimes. So I do want him to talk about the project that we were able to work on together and what that meant to him. And anything else you want to share. I'm not going to, put you out there, but I want you to be open.
No, yeah, great. No, great. I love
about our experience together.
I love to. Let me just mention these other quick principles, and I'll move to this real quick. So the power of knowledge, the power of request, the power of communication. We talk about the power of risk. What risk are you taking today? Dr. King risked it all, risked his life. Some of these entertainers who worked with him risked their careers. Nina Simone was blackballed. Eartha Kitt was shunned. Dick Gregory was investigated by the FBI. I've seen his files. It's this thick because of the willingness of him to be outspoken with Dr. King. He took incredible risks. The power of creativity. What is it that you're not doing because you don't have the money to do? Could it be you lack the creativity to do what needs to be done? If money was a reason why you were not doing something, could it be that you lack creativity? King was a master. Matt was a master in creativity. The power to dream. So those are some of the things. Listen, so in Redondo Beach, we have a unique situation here, I must say, in the 90277, the 90278. For the second year now, this is going to be an annual event for us. And for last year was the first. We put together a Martin Luther King Jr. celebration in honor of that great man, his life, his work. Really sponsored by the police department here. Chief Keith Kaufman, shout out to him and he and his team, and the Redondo Beach Police Department Foundation. We basically, as McKenzie and I, sit on a board called the Redondo Beach Police Department Community Engagement Board. The purpose of this board, it's a non-binding board, consists of local citizens here in Redondo Beach, is to build trust with the police department, authenticate, build authenticity, and sort of humanize the badge, if you will. You know, a lot of the cities that have these flare-ups, these blow-ups with regard to issues of injustice and police tension with Black and brown communities, obviously the event itself notwithstanding, there are incredible atrocities created by some members of law enforcement who do wrong. We get that. They do extraordinary things right for the most part. I believe the majority of officers are honorable women and men. However,
thank you.
When those events happen, the number one thing a police department needs, and it sounds trivial, but it's true, is they need time. Think about it. When you have a situation that goes south, a tragic shooting, a death, some type of alleged abuse takes place, a lot of those departments, they lack time. Here's what I mean by that. The community, because there is no relationship, is not willing to give them time, the benefit of the doubt, to work through this situation, to gather the facts. It's no, man, excuse my French, balls to the walls. We're going off. We're protesting. We're coming. Well, when you have communities in times of peace that work together to partner and foster relationships with the police department, that time is accounted for. So one of the things we've been doing is being a part of this community engagement board, doing things like the Redondo Beach Police Department's honoring of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We've put together a scholarship where we've given away actual money for high school seniors to go to college. There is a memorial that's literally outside of our police department that honors Dr. King. It's a beautiful bench that people can come and sit on, and there's a beautiful plaque that was placed there as well. And so all of this is not just about aesthetics. This is about partnership and building relationships. And so, God forbid, something happens in our community. We want to be able to do this. We want to have time where we give the benefit of the doubt and the time for an investigation that takes place. But also, too, we would hope that we could speak to the character of the leadership of our department that says, you know what, we're going to wait, we're going to examine, we're going to hold them accountable, but we're going to believe that because of the time we put in, the relationships we form over periods of months and weeks and even years, that we're going to be able to come together to a resolution that will bring everyone to the table and have everyone walking away going, you know what, this was done right, honorable, even if it was agreement to disagree, but it will not be contentious. It will not be vitriol. You know, I traveled to Minneapolis, Minnesota 4.5 days after George Floyd was killed. I was on the ground in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I saw pain and heartbreak and destruction and so much hard, just sort of devastation from people emotionally. And what I heard was this has been a continuous theme in that particular community involving law enforcement and just people feeling like their backs were against the wall. And so a lot of the sort of explosiveness you saw was just not about Floyd, who, by the way, narrated his own death. It had been building up over a period of time. within that community, within that police department, with those citizens. And so I did see, though, by the way, people coming together, businesses, people who had come together literally from different parts of the community, coming together to help rebuild, coming together to hold people accountable too, but really sort of finding their way forward. That was the beauty of that. But I thought to myself, wow, I wonder what this would have looked like had the time been put in to build relationships where in the event, this event, how tragic it was, happens, this murder happens, that the community could look to the police department and say, you know what, we believe they're going to do right by this. They're going to hold their own accountable. I close with this one sort of refrain. Chris Rock, who just came out with another comedy series on Netflix, he says, you know, there's just some professions where we can't afford to have bad apples. And, you know, so many times we'll hear people say, oh, you know, just a few bad apples. I do believe there's systemic racism within organizations such as our police departments. I think events from January 6th even revealed that. You know, police departments are paramilitary organizations, basically. But Chris Rock said, you don't have American Airlines slogan saying, hey, most of our pilots are good. We just have a few bad apples that fly them in the side of mountains every once in a while, our planes. You know, police department, we can't afford to have a few bad apples. They are, in the words of Lincoln, they are clothed with immense power. They have the power to take your life. And the courts, state and federal, have a broad latitudinal permission for law enforcement on a range of issues, including use of force. And so what we need to do is we need to make sure that hiring process, accountability, transparency, whether it's rec training, we need to make sure all those things are in place to hold police officers accountable. Quite frankly, we pay their salaries. It's not a mandatory occupation. In other words, if you're a police officer, you're choosing to become a police officer. If you're a racist, you shouldn't be a police officer. If you lose your temper, you shouldn't be a police officer. If you are not a person of integrity, you shouldn't be a police officer. That's just way too much power to give somebody who has a gun and a badge and can take your life. There's a lot of power. So we want to work with our police departments. We believe that these women and men, for the most part, are honorable people, but make no mistake about it, in the same way as our society. They're bad dentists, they're bad tax collectors, they're bad accountants, they're bad mechanics. They're bad police officers. They're not immune from critique, and the idea that I can't hold an officer or a department accountable, but at the same time being accused of being anti-policing or not backing the blue is asinine. I back Blue Lives Matter, but I also back Black Lives Matter. They're not mutually exclusive.
That's right. That's right. That's good stuff. That's good juice.
Well, Dr. Goodloe, you know, you dropped some nuggets, and then you hit us hard, you know, and I have a soft spot for both because I am both. I'm Black and I am a law enforcement officer. So, you know, I don't know if you knew that, but
didn't know that.
I
worked with several police departments from Long Beach to Hermosa, Redondo Beach, Gardena. I work with police departments on these issues, leadership training, synergy. I do 3 years in a row. I have spoken to the Chiefs of Police Conference here in the Southern California area. We've had 80, 90 police chiefs I've spoken to. And so I'm committed to advancing departments forward in the best way that we can to help them achieve their optimal success.
And that's great. And I'm still optimistic that the police departments will eventually get there. But you said some things that I always say, and Tonya and I always talk about it. You know, relationships. You need to have relationships. The community needs to have relationships with their local law enforcement. And a lot of times communities don't, and that's when you get all the stuff we've been seeing over the past few years and stuff. And you said it. Very good that, you know, time. We don't have time sometime on our side to do what we need to do. And that's when stuff kind of goes awry. And I've been doing this job almost half my life. I've been a law enforcement officer 30 years.
Wow. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I've been for LA County Sheriff. So I've been a law enforcement officer for a big agency. So I've seen a lot, done a lot.
We probably know some of the same people. We'll talk offline, but I got a few folks I know in that in the department that you probably would know over the years.
Yeah. So but we have to stay optimistic, and when it comes to our law enforcement and the community, and continue to do our parts to strengthen the relationship amongst us. Before we go, I wanted to ask you. I want to tell the viewers. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it. It's a Netflix series called Amend. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, Dr. Goodloe. I'm sure you probably saw it, but it's a very good series. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's very informative, and it's really about the 14th Amendment. So for those of you who are not, political astute or not really into your politics and or the Constitution and things like that, you should really check it out, because it talks about some things I think they don't talk about in school, so where we get all this stuff at in school. So it's a good series. And I don't Will Smith he's kind of the narrator or the moderator of it. So it's really good.
I love it. Well, Gia, since we're on you, let everybody know what you have coming up and where they can stay in contact.
Oh, I'm looking at Michelle Miller. Chris Cuff is a friend of mine, Lieutenant Chris Cuff in Gardena Police Department. I worked with them for an entire month. I did the town hall meeting for the Gardena Police Department for an entire month, where citizens from the city of Gardena called into the police department via Zoom. This is during COVID, obviously. And I basically was a facilitator in working with the department in a liaison between they and the citizens. So I see one of your people talked about Chris Cuff. Chris Cuff is a friend of mine. I know Chris very well, and he's a good brother. Anyway, McKenzie, my bad. What did you just say? Do what now?
She was on me, Dr. Goodloe. She was on me. I see when you get started, you be getting you keep going on like Energizer Bunny. Boom, 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 boom. I love it. You can find me this weekend coming up. I'm going to be at the Melanin Market, Nothing But Black Flea Market at Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall from 11 to 5. You can find me there Saturday. Also, check out the Long Beach Zeta chapter, Sigma Eta Zeta of Zeta Phi Beta. They're doing a Roots Zoom hair wrap contest this weekend on Saturday from 4 to 7. If you guys haven't joined or said you're going to go, you should go check it out. They're having a contest where you can win something, and they're going to have some entertainment going on via Zoom, because every year they have a root celebration that's in person, but since COVID they haven't been able to have one. So they're collaborating with none other than me, Mahogany Wraps, and the winner of the hair wrap contest will receive a hair wrap made by yours truly, Gia, aka the Mahogany Wrap. So that's happening on Saturday too. And we also have wraps for men, Dr. Goodloe. So don't play. I can wrap you up, have you looking really nice in a hair wrap. I'm your girl. So when you're ready, it ain't too late. You can rock on before Black History Month's over. So yeah, you can also find me on social media at Instagram, The Mahogany Box, and on Facebook, Mahogany Box.
I love it. Ms. Tandra?
You can. I put my link in there how you can link up with me. But please, if you really want to maximize your LinkedIn, please join our LinkedIn workshop this Saturday. It's at 1 p.m. I did put the link in there in our chat to how to get into that workshop. It's a very small minimum fee, but will bring you great results.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Dr. Goodloe.
Yeah, so for more information on me and where I'm going to next, you can find out at GoodieGoodloe.com. Goodie spelled with an I-E, Goodloe spelled with an L-O-E. GoodieGoodloe.com. And, we'll be here on the road. Actually, my first road trip here since March. Yeah, it's been a while. I've been doing a lot of stuff via Zoom, but we're going to be heading out to, I think we got Texas first up coming here in the month of April, but I got some other stuff in between there. So go to GoodieGoodloe.com, find out more information about me. And I am so honored to have been able to hang out with you all today.
Well, per usual, guys, we're wrapping up Black History Month. We want to thank Dr. Goodie Goodloe for his time, for his knowledge, for all his energy. I almost forgot I was sick. And really just being, for me, a partner in equity, equality, and diversity issues here in Redondo Beach. So please reach out to him if you need someone to come to your school, come to your business, work on some leadership stuff, talk to your kids, get on Zoom. He can really make a difference in your organization. Also, grab that book. Okay. Get King. He actually has 2 books, so we might have to get him back here to talk about all things Goodie Goodloe. But right now, make sure you go out and get the anniversary edition of Kingmaker. Support him. You can always find me at Sand and Shores or Tonya McKenzie PR on all social media platforms. So thank you guys so much for showing up today, and we wish you an amazing week. Okay, have a dope week. Get a lot of stuff done, and we'll see you back here next Monday.